So, welcome again to another edition of the Osteopathic Lyceum podcast. I am here with Joy Langan. Did I pronounce your last name properly?
You did.
Okay, I just want to make sure because, it's easy to make assumptions and then just be completely wrong. Anyways, we've brought Joy on to speak about a few things. One of those things being the education process for massage therapy, one of those being the process of having credentials recognized in different jurisdictions, and also we'll touch on teaching experience. If I remember right, you've only taught massage in Canada. That's fair?
Correct.
Okay. So I said a little bit of stuff. So where did you initially receive your massage training?
In Australia from Nature Care College in St. Leonard's,
Okay.
New South Wales.
New South Wales. Okay. I would assume that not everybody's geography is going to be fantastic enough that automatically means something, but hopefully, as with anything else, when you hear something new, I kind of hope people just look it up. So instead of assuming that they know, it's like, yeah, New South Wales, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the province, am I wrong? The provinces in Australia are relatively large.
They're huge, yes.
And there's not people in most parts. There's people in very few parts.
That is correct.
Okay, fair enough. Now, at the college, so the college training, do you have some kind of equivalent for that people say in Canada or in other countries would understand when you say that you were trained at the college level? Is there some kind of appropriate analog that would make sense?
Not really. In Australia, it's called remedial massage.
Okay.
And there are different levels to that remedial massage. You have to get to level 3 in order to be a recognized massage therapist.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about how that works.
Okay, so there are 3 different levels. There's remedial 1, remedial 2, remedial 3. And it's sort of like year 1, year 2, year 3 in massage school here. I guess that would be the easiest way to sort of correlate Ontario to New South Wales.
Okay. And now, is there testing at the end, like testing that must be passed to get to the next level?
At the time, yes. Now this was 1998.
Okay.
So we're going way back.
Yep.
Things have changed in Australia now, but at the time, yes, it was we had to pass year 1 to get into remedial. You had to pass remedial 1 to get into remedial 2 and so on.
Yeah, so I mean, fair enough that you have to have appropriate grades to move on a level. But was there something akin to a licensing type of test? Like, could you be licensed at level 1? And no. Okay, so it was just kind of like big exams at the end of each year.
Yes.
Now, those exams, obviously written, were there OSCE type things or practical examinations?
So mine was a little different because my massage was built into the naturopathic medicine program.
Okay.
So I went to school for naturopathic medicine.
Okay. And
fell in love with massage because I realized I was an instant gratification kind of person.
Sure.
And naturopathic medicine would not do that for me. So I'm not sure about the full program for massage. I did do remedial 1, 2, and 3, but again, it was built into a different program.
Okay. So your particular background, although obviously you fell in love with massage and you aimed more at working in massage, your initial training was much broader.
Yes.
Okay. So let's just say somebody, I mean, obviously it was 1998 and whenever you ended up graduating, I guess 2001, is that fair?
Yeah, I would have been finished massage 2002.
2002. Okay. So at that point, let's just say closer to graduation, people asked you about botanicals, about homeopathics. You'd have some good answers at the time.
Yes.
Okay. I think we got a glitch. Darn it. Sorry. Did that glitch on your end too, or just on my end?
Yeah, you're a little frozen.
Oh.
You've been frozen for a few minutes.
Right on.
But I could hear you the whole time.
Yeah. Okay. So I may or may not edit that out. Anyways, just because the answer for the botanicals and whatnot got cut out, would you please say that one again?
So I didn't end up doing anything with naturopathic medicine. I strictly focused on massage once I was finished.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So, but again, obviously working in massage, but as far as your knowledge of those things, your knowledge was relatively strong at the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, you passed appropriate exams to suggest that they should be. Fair enough. So then, how long did you work in Australia?
My math is terrible. Hang on a second.
That's okay.
4 years.
4 years. Okay. And then after working in Australia, you then, if I remember correctly, you moved back to Canada because you're initially from Canada.
Yes, I'm from Canada.
Okay. And then so
yep.
Worked for 4 years, moved back to Canada. And what happened at that point?
Well, I came home expecting to just be able to transfer everything over and do an exam with the College of Massage Therapists of Ontario, but that was not the case. I was told I had to go back to school and redo everything.
Okay. Did they give you rationale?
There was no bridging course at the time.
Okay. Is there one now?
There is a bridging course now, yep.
Okay. Okay. Now, so while not having a bridging course at the time, did they give you some rationale for why you had to get retrained and versus why they wouldn't be able to just test your skills?
So because they didn't have anything in place at the time, they couldn't just allow me to take the test. I said I would take a law and ethics course because the laws would be different here versus another country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ethics should have been the same.
It should be.
But they didn't have anything like that in place.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, you'd think. But they didn't have anything in place. So they didn't have anything for me to take. They didn't have an instructor I could go to. So I just ended up redoing school.
Okay. And when in redoing school, that was a 2-year, that was a 3-year?
Here I did it at a private college, 2 years.
Okay, right on. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the primary difference here between a private college for massage versus a public college, so something like Kikowa is one of them, or Kikawa, however you appropriately say that, because I'm sure I'm screwing it up. But any one of the publicly funded Ontario colleges, the primary difference is that the private colleges, you learn massage. You learn to be an RMT, whereas the public colleges, they give you broader scope. They make you take a lot of electives. Is that fair?
I'm not too sure that I can speak on that. I assume the main difference was the 2-year versus a 3-year program, because at a college level, in a public college, you get the summers off, you get a couple of weeks over Christmas, whereas at a private college, you don't.
Okay. Now and I think that's fair. What I've heard is that they do also ask you to take electives outside of massage. But
I would think so, because I think every program you have to take a couple of electives regardless.
Yeah, at least that's the general experience that I'm aware of. So, but with the private career colleges, you kind of just went straight to the massage stuff and you stayed there. That's fair?
So you broke up big time during that. So if you could repeat that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So with the private career colleges, it's just, in your experience, you just focused on massage. They didn't have any even electives to offer you. Okay.
No, it was a standardized curriculum.
Okay, right on. Now, as far as you're aware at the moment, there's the bridging program, but is there any jurisdiction that you're aware of where they would allow somebody to come and challenge the board exam?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. So as far as you can tell, they're very interested in having some level of at least Ontario-based training, because we're talking more about Ontario. So if you haven't gone through the college, as far as you would guess, they just don't trust that you know what they want you to know.
Correct.
Okay. Now sometimes you can see the shape of a hole, but you don't necessarily know what's in the hole or why it's there. But at least with respect to what we're talking about, they didn't have anything in place to recognize your high-level Australian training. They didn't have a course to deal with that, and they wouldn't even let you challenge the board.
Correct.
But with what you are aware of with the board exams for massage in Ontario, do you think at that time you would have been able to appropriately challenge and pass it?
100%.
Okay, because the fundamental concepts cannot be that different.
No, they really aren't.
And realistically, it's the same profession, just different words around it. That's fair in your experience? Okay.
Yep.
So then you took school here, you passed the board here.
Mm-hmm.
And then how long did you work here before moving again?
So I passed the board exam in 2010.
Okay.
And I moved to France in 2012. So I was here for 2 years.
Okay. So how long, and then when you went to France, you worked, now in France, as far as title is concerned, as far as regulation is concerned, is massage therapy regulated in a similar-ish way?
It's actually yes and no.
Okay.
So France is a bit of a different beast.
Sure.
The government in France is, how do I put this? If you were not trained in France, you can't work as a therapeutic massage therapist. You can work as a relaxation therapist.
Okay.
Only.
Okay. Now, does that impact the way that people are able to pay? Because at least in Ontario, at least in Canada, many patients are attempting to pay with paramedical benefits.
Right.
Is that similar in France?
Yes.
Okay, so as a relaxation therapist, are you able to access the paramedical benefit or no? Okay.
No.
So essentially you get into a position where you're more or less running a cash business.
Yes.
Like, I mean, obviously there's going to be people who pay through electronic intermediaries, but more or less it's direct fee for service from patient to practitioner.
Yes. Well, I worked for a spa.
Yeah,
because that's pretty much only where I could work, but yes.
Yep. So another jurisdiction whereby they weren't even willing to consider without training in their country. Okay. True. So that, as far as you can tell, and I mean, you've been in massage therapy obviously for quite some time. You've probably met people from varying places. Does that seem to be consistent? If you didn't receive training in the jurisdiction, they just kind of don't want to do much with you?
In the European Union, I believe so.
Okay.
Ireland was a little bit different.
Yeah.
How
long did you stay in France?
So I was only there 6 months because I just couldn't not be my own boss.
Okay, fair enough. And then you went to Ireland.
Yes.
Now, was it a similar thing again in Ireland with respect to how you were recognized and how you were able to work?
So in Ireland, massage therapists are considered beauty therapists.
Okay.
So it's not on the therapeutic scale at all.
Okay. Okay. So so they just have nothing with respect to, say, the manner in which you were trained to be recognized under their regulatory structure.
Correct. The primary therapeutic soft tissue manual stuff would be a physio.
Okay. And I'm assuming their general structure around physio would be variable compared to what you're aware of in North America.
Yes.
Right. So the type of training, maybe not necessarily the content, but the type and the length and things like that is maybe more, maybe less, but it's at least different.
It's very different. Yeah.
Okay. Very different in the sense that they are maybe more intensive with what they teach and how physios practice, or just different?
I think just different. Okay. I feel like the physios in Ireland were way more hands-on. Okay. I know we have hands-on therapists here. Absolutely. It depends on the physio.
Yep.
But they're way more hands-on and they do a lot more soft tissue.
Okay. Yeah, so the way that the physios practice, and
yes,
would you, at least with what you were able to see, is at least part of that because there's not another profession also doing that work?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe if Ireland changed the regulatory structure to some degree and recognized RMTs or something equivalent to an RMT, maybe the physios would then not do as much hands-on because somebody else is doing it. And then,
correct,
all of a sudden they invent multidisciplinary clinics.
Right.
Yeah. Because the option's there, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So multiple jurisdictions, the same problem with different words. Fair?
Correct.
Okay. How long did you stay in Ireland before you came back?
3 months.
Oh.
Because I could not, again, I just, relaxation's not my gig. Sure. I will do it.
Yeah.
Obviously if asked, but I much prefer to see the benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there are benefits to a relaxation massage,
but
see the benefits of a therapeutic massage. And my family was having babies. My brothers and sister were having babies, and I just didn't want to be that far away anymore.
Awesome. well, that's important. I mean, it's a similar story in ways in my life, the way that I've chosen to pay attention when I was younger to my oldest sister's children. She has 5 on purpose, and they're all
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all fun. Okay, so based on your preferences of how you like to work, the difficulties with being recognized, being trained in a different jurisdiction, so that all impacted. Now, I know that you taught at a massage college in Canada. Was that before you went to France or after you came back?
That was when I came back.
Okay, so Australia, learn in Canada, pass the boards in 2010, France for 6 months, Ireland for 3, come back to Canada and teach.
Correct.
Okay, there we go. Now, teaching experience based on your training in Australia, would you say that the teaching experience was similar enough as far as, say, the manner in which you would have been expected to deliver information or the type of information based on what you experienced from the teachers there?
No, the instruction was very different here in Canada. I felt like Australians, the teaching in Australia was very laid back.
Okay.
It was sort of, we were given a task to do and we spent time doing it, and the teacher kind of roamed around watching us, made sure we were doing everything correctly, whereas Canada, specifically Ontario, we had certain markers that we had to hit with certain KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. I don't think Australia had those.
Okay. Well, also, as you said, it was a different time, so maybe that's gotten in there. Okay. What types of key performance indicators? Key performance indicators for the teachers?
Well, teachers and the students.
Okay.
So I had to make sure the students were hitting those key performance indicators, or just the markers of progression throughout the program. So I had to make sure that the students were kind of on mark.
Okay. And
for those certain things.
What kind of tools were they using to assess that? Like when I say tool, usually it's an assessment tool, which is a piece of paper and how you write. What kind of things would those be?
Well, we had to make sure that, I have to go back in my brain because I haven't been teaching for a while. Yeah, we had to make sure that standards were met. I guess is how I should be saying it.
That's okay. Now, those standards. Now, was KPI a term that they used?
Yes.
Okay.
Not to the student.
No. I wouldn't assume so. It's interesting to me because of having my health science education master's. It's not necessarily a term one would expect to find within an educational institution. You'd expect to find things like competency, at least right now with the timing that you were teaching, because you were probably teaching 2012-ish. Is that fair?
Yep, 2013.
Yeah. So term-wise, I would expect to hear competency, not key performance indicator. Right now, some could argue that they would cross over relatively well, depending on how you're assessing. But those key performance indicators, how would the administrator know that that was occurring? Like, what was the communication method to the administrator?
That's a great question.
Now, based on your face, if there's stuff that you don't want to say, don't.
No, it's okay. There wasn't a whole lot of communication with the administrator. It was meet the targets, do your job.
Okay. And so you were expected to meet the targets and do your job, but nobody was clearly checking if that was occurring. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that's very fair.
Okay. One of the things within a lot of medical education, at least, say on the physician side, is the discussion around switching from, say, an hours-based curriculum and assessment type to a competency-based medical education assessment type. So it's more assessment points than you have a competence committee. So there's just way more ways that you're assessing students. And then people look at it and they're like, okay, are we seeing a general trajectory towards competence? Are they competent? Are they safe? Things like that. What they say is that terminologically now all of a sudden you're competency based, but the details of what you teach doesn't really change. So the details don't change, just the way that you assess changes. So you didn't have anything that would look like like a portfolio for a student where there was a bunch of information coming in. They didn't necessarily have to hit this mark or that mark. Just generally, it had to kind of go up. That's not what your experience was.
No, I mean, we kept files on all the students, but it really was just their academic records.
Okay.
Their testing and whatnot.
So there was like a baseline mark on any test. You must exceed this, and then however much you exceeded, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So
if they got a 70 or above, they're golden.
Okay. Right on. Now, based on the interaction that you and I have had so far and the discussions that we've had not online, does that seem to make sense to you based on what you've heard from me? And also, did it make sense to you at the time that that's the way that they were approaching it? Oh, I think we got a glitch.
I was a little bit different when I started teaching. I was thrown to this. An instructor left midway, and I was hired to replace that instructor, and that instructor gave zero information as to where the class was in their term, let's say, where they were in the module, where they were within the course. I knew nothing. So I was literally thrown in and told, teach. You don't know what you're doing, but teach. It was, yeah, it was interesting.
Okay. That sounds standard enough from my understanding.
No, minimal direction.
Yeah. So I lost you at minimal direction.
Oh yeah, so minimal direction, minimal instruction, just go do it. Mm-hmm. This is what you have to hit, go do it.
Fair enough. Okay. So broadly in your experience and what I'm getting, there are rules and regulations around things in different jurisdictions. They like you better if you did stuff in their jurisdiction, but when you're in their jurisdiction, they have the rules and regulations, and they don't really tell you anything about how to do it. They just say, these are the rules and regulations.
Yep.
So it's like there's policies with, on paper, say, enforcement mechanisms, but kind of useless. That's fair?
Yes.
Okay. And then you navigate your own way as an individual, depending on your level of motivation, figure it out and do what you need.
Yep. Which meant I spent a good 36 hours on my first lecture because I had no idea what I was teaching. So I just made a whole bunch of lectures for different subjects.
Fair enough. Now, at least with respect to education and the approach that I was initially brought through in my previous experience, and then what I learned doing it, as well as what I've learned through advanced education, getting my master's. If you know the material and you have a good framework, you can kind of get through it. But if you never learned to do that prior, you want stuff written down, you want to be meticulous, because you're like, I don't know what to do.
Because I had some teaching experience. I taught first aid and CPR for a while.
Awesome. Are you still certified to do that?
I'm not with the company anymore, but that's an easy thing to get.
Okay.
We'll talk.
Yes.
And I have teaching in my blood. My dad was a professor at Sheridan. My mom was a principal. So
awesome.
Yeah. I lead well. Okay. So initially, yes, I wanted to have all of these projected student questions answered in the lecture. And then going forward, it was like I did skeletons and we went through it as a class together, and I had students asking better questions.
Yep. Nice. Yeah. For myself, because of the particular experience that I have and the manner in which I build the understanding of osteopathy as a profession, I've got a framework that basically allows me to answer any question and show you whichever whichever heuristic or whichever rule of thumb in everything. It's like, okay, do you see how this is here? Do you see how this is here? And do you see how this is the same thing as that completely different demonstration? So because that's something that I've developed through varying skills and varying rationales and experiences, it, for myself, at least at this point, you can put me anywhere and I can teach anything about osteopathy. Right now, initially that's tough, especially if you don't know the expectations. You have no idea.
100%.
Yeah,
but ask me now, and you can throw me into any class and I can talk with nothing.
Yes, because you develop the skill set.
Yeah.
Now, you also had mentioned in a previous conversation that we've had about the mapping for the accreditation of a private career college. Did that, now, without exceptionally specific details, did that just feel like a paperwork project for the sake of paperwork?
It felt completely useless. Yes.
But as long as the right thing was written on the paper, and then if somebody came in and say watched, and they asked you about the correct thing being on the paper, you could just say, yeah, that was it. So it's like you write it down appropriately, and then you can kind of behave how you like, as long as somebody, the appropriate person, hit the stamp.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, this doesn't seem like it's unique to any particular situation. This seems unfortunately standard in many regulatory structures and and even unregulated frameworks, because people will find a way to put a framework around something that if somebody's looking over their shoulder, it's like, yeah. Now, say in the case of what I'm building, the professional association that I'm attempting to work with, I'm lucky enough to have had direct contact with the individuals that are the head of that association. Exceptionally professional. You met them.
Yes.
So Heather is essentially the head of the association. She's the primary lead, and
nice.
Exceptionally professional, willing to answer questions, very nice.
Oh, they were lovely.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me because I had some experience with what you're talking about, learned about that process in the process of getting my master's, and then the professional association that I'm building the relationship with, in speaking to them, I'm like, oh, you're professional, you listen. Oh, okay. It's not just check marks. You actually want to know that this, okay, fair enough. We're good. So it's interesting to hear that, and then when you're appropriately motivated as an individual, as I noted, you figure yourself out. You figure it out for yourself. Yeah. So
absolutely.
Also, as you're moving around, I just wanted to make positive commentary about all the nice art that was on your walls.
Oh, thanks. This is my ridiculous maximalist house because I'm a minimalist person.
Whatever. Anyways.
Apparently.
So
I guess that's my wall of weird.
It's not weird. It's bones.
I don't think it's weird. I think it's amazing. But a lot of people come in here and go, what is on your wall?
Yeah, stuff.
I just had groceries delivered. That's why I'm moving around.
That's okay. So, yep, no worries. Okay, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
And no, I don't get groceries delivered all the time. I went out this morning already and I did not want to go out again.
That's okay. Totally fine. So overall, I think what I was hoping to learn from you about the specifics of the experience of being trained one place, moving to multiple other places, that they don't have a framework and they just want you to have been trained the way they want. That's correct. As far as I know, that's pretty standard. So your personal experience seems to line up with what I've heard and learned previously. So it's nice in some ways and bad in other ways because it personally impacted you.
Yes.
But it's also personally impacted many other people.
Now, that being said, I did not plan on coming home from Australia. My life was there. I plan to live there forever. Yeah,
but I'm sure things that had nothing to do with massage occurred.
Yes, circumstances happened and here we are.
Yeah. There you go. Well, I appreciate very much all of your time and your insight. So
no worries.
What we'll do, at least for the moment, is I'm going to say thank you. I hope everybody found some of that interesting. I'll stop the recording, so stay online and we'll chat a little bit more. Sounds good?
Cool.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pleasure.